Welcome, everybody, to another week and another session of Join the Chat. This is the place where every single voice matters, where your opinions are important, where you're empowered to express yourself, and we try to provide a free and open space to speak and also to be heard. It looks like we have a gentleman's panel tonight, so I just want to salute my brothers in the chat tonight. Joining the chat with me tonight, we have Mr. Joe Doherty. Bless up yourself.
Oh, hello.
Ghislaine is in the house tonight. What's happening, my brother?
I'm good.
And we have Andre, of course, with his brand new headphones.
Yeah, greetings.
Looking well professional tonight. Just so you know, you can always join us on YouTube or Instagram. Join the chat one. Join the chat with the number 1. Share, like, subscribe. Share it with all your people. We're coming to you live from studio inside the StreamYard today. Just want to say good evening, good night to everyone who is watching and who is here with us. Blessings. So we have 2 topics that we're going to discuss tonight. We want to talk about, would you hire an ex-offender? And the second topic is blue-collar workers versus the trade workers. So I want to jump into things quick, fast. I want to see how much we can expand on this topic tonight. I want to start talking about, would you hire an ex-offender? That's where I want to start from. I don't know if you are an entrepreneur, if you do run your own business, if you're in control of anything. As an employer, if you had a business, would you be open to hiring ex-offenders? Let's hit it with Ghislaine first. We'll go around the bend. Ghislaine, what do you think about that?
I would say yes or no. Yes, I would hire them depending on what was the reason they got in jail, what was the offense.
Right.
Some offenses, if they were jailed because they were selling marijuana back in the days, right? So I would still hire them, right? But if it's another offense that is very maybe the person used to be a fraudster, and then you're running a business, you don't bring in like a fraudster into your business, right? So that's the other no, where I think it depends on the what type of criminal background they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, go ahead. Touch on it.
What's a fraudster?
A scammer.
Oh, a scammer.
Scammer. Fraudster.
Scammer, yeah.
Fraudster.
Yeah, fraudster.
Oh, fraudster. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, fraudster. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, my bad.
Don't worry.
So you're already on it, Joe. Go. Whoa. Would you hire ex-offender? Yes or no?
100% yes. I mean, to Ghislaine's point, it depends what they do and what the role is now. But I mean, like, no problem hiring anyone who's committed stuff in the past. None of us are perfect, and we all, hopefully we all learn from our mistakes and can move forward. I think, when you're talking about sexual abuse or physical abuse, like that kind of stuff plays a different role. But if someone's, grew up in a certain situation where they're doing things to make ends meet, and they have, they've changed their ways now. They're, rehabilitated, I guess, or what's the word? Yeah, rehabilitated. I mean, I have no problem with that. I think, who am I to judge them, really? All the stuff I've done in my life.
True. Andre, let's go with you. Same question. Yeah. Would you? Why or why not?
To be honest, I share the same sentiment as Joe, where I'll definitely hire an ex-offender prisoner or someone who was locked up before. And also, it depends on the type of company you're running too. You know what I mean? In the sense of if it's depending on the crime rate, for example, people where they did like a child molester or something like that, you wouldn't want them to tend to be around an environment where they make people uncomfortable or where it requires background check and stuff like that. But other than that, I think everybody deserves a chance. And most of the time, people who experience being down, they sometimes come back stronger than they were before. So you have to also look on that, look into that perspective also. That's what I take on it. So I would definitely hire someone who have a past of being in prison or being in prison,
So it's quite interesting that all three of you kind of touched upon the same points. Point one was it depended on the crime that they committed. And another point was you wanted to give another chance. So are there any offenses that could be committed that you could not turn a blind eye to?
Yeah, if I could jump the gun, yeah, for sure. More like the pedophilia, like that's a no-no, that's someone who I think may need some form of mental evaluation or need to be in an institution, because the fact that you prey on the vulnerable and the innocent, it's kind of hard to forgive you for that one. And also, I'm not where you put it now, I'll have to do a screening to ask you why you do that, and hear maybe you're gonna tell me you were brought up a particular way or something like that. So I wouldn't run a risk with a child molester or a pedophile. Also, what another crime I think is someone who commit like mass murder. Like repeat offenders, and so to speak, meaning you've been there 3-4 times. It's hard to kind of see that person really grow up or rebound or rehabilitate, because you've been to the same institution more than 3 times and you didn't come out any better. I wouldn't run a risk with a multiple offender in that sense, and a pedophile. So those two for me. If you go there multiple times, or if you're a pedophile.
Joe Ghislaine, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think, like you tell me someone's been selling drugs their whole life to feed their family, is a big difference than, a froster, or a fraudster. Is someone who's embezzling money, and I run a financial services institution. Those are two different things. So it is dependent on the scenario. I think the circumstances of why they're committing the crimes is important. I think that there's a lot of good people who do things cross the line because they have to take care of their family, and those are the things I definitely don't judge. Back to Andre's point about mass murder. I would hire an ex-murderer, but maybe something happened that he had to defend himself, and that's he had to murder the person. You know what I mean? It was out of self-defense, and he went to jail for that. There's a lot of good people that got caught up in bad things, and and they deserve a second chance.
Yeah. Ghislaine, touch on that.
I agree with both of them. I was actually thinking about if someone was a murderer, I wouldn't have a problem to hire them, but I feel like my other employees might have a problem because they may not feel well to be around like a murderer, because all agree we want to give them a chance, but we have to think about the other person as well, the other employees who may not agree with that.
That's a great point that you touched upon. So I'll throw this one to Andre as well. So what if you're the people who you're generating business for, if they felt uncomfortable knowing that you had an ex-offender on your staff, would you feel the pressure and fire them to maintain your business? Or is giving that person a second chance more important than your finances?
Sorry, I'm laughing. My wife just messaged like, "Who's the skinny white guy?"
Hope he's not an offender.
They say that the camera adds 10 pounds in your face, it takes it away. Just tell her it's that workout plan that she has you on. It's that, that good food that she's cooking for you, man.
It's that beach body workout she put me on.
To answer your question, Amrin, I was jumping and say it depends. Meaning, if it's just one customer, and if it's a customer that's a repeated customer, then maybe what I'll do, I'll still defend that person, because at the end of the day, I use my judgment and I did the interview and I talk with the person. So I know I'm relating to the employee one-on-one. I know if that person is actually rehabilitating versus a customer who, as I said, they're probably just being judgmental and just stereotype. They don't know what he did. They don't talk to him like that. And they expect a good work from him, so to speak. So what I'll do, if I have a company, I'll probably send another employee to deal with that customer versus firing that person, because maybe I firing that person now, going to push him back against the wall and probably bring him down a path that he didn't want to go, right? And then he probably use that now to say, you know what, no one else will hire me because maybe customers is gonna, the same situation come into play. So at least if I stand up with him and defend him, maybe you realize, yeah, society, there's some good people in society. This person had my back, so no, I won't let him down. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. So the next customer who I come across, he may want to give them a good service, and maybe again, why did the customer complain? Was it that he wasn't being he wasn't interactive with them? He was just serious. So you have to investigate or go around the situation in the sense of asking the customer why you don't want this person, just because he was an offender, or you didn't know he was an offender, or you guys having a conversation. So it's not just jump the gun to say I'm going to fire the person because one customer says something. However, on the other hand, if he did something now to initiate that thought into the customer head, then and multiple customers, then that's a different problem now, where he and I would have to have a discussion again, so it's not just jumping a gun to say I'm a boss, I'm going to fire a person for at $10, so I will never, ever, ever do that.
So again, I want to get deeper. I want to know if it came to the point where you have to lose a series of contracts or let that person go. Are you choosing your bank pocket? Are you choosing the bank book, or are you choosing the person?
Again, for it to be a series, I'll have to ask my customers why. Is it something that he did, or is a discussion?
They don't even want to give you a reason. They just say, listen, this guy, as long as he's hired there, we're pulling our contract. Four people come to you and say that. What do you do?
4 people, again, as I said, I know the individual, and I will never, ever watch the money, because maybe I lose those 4 and gain 5 more. You understand what I mean? So at the end of the day, that customer could probably tomorrow switch on me because of someone giving them a good price, a cheaper price. You know what I mean? So you have to look at it like that. So he's in-house, so I have to defend who's in-house with me, right or die,
No doubt. Joey, it looked like you wanted to say something on that.
Yeah, I think that, I think what Andre is touching on, it comes on personal integrity. It's, I took a chance on this guy because I trust him. So let's clear away the facts. Let's say he was, sold drugs. I think you need a little more context to your question. Let's say the guy was sold drugs or beat people up, or or woman, these days, could be anyone. And Andre's 100% right. You have to do business with people you want to do business with, and if this person's going to leave you, they're going to leave you for some other reason anyway. Your real true loyal ambassadors of your brand or your business are going to stick around because they believe in what you're doing. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? Like Bren, it's like I hire you to do my wedding, and the person carrying your gear is an ex-offender. If I'm going to let you go for that, I'm not your client. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not the right person for you to hire. And Andre is 100% right. The money is not worth it because there's going to be a lot of people who believe in what you did and stood up for that person when they needed you the most, and are going to hire you and give you more money and pay you what you're worth.
I like it. Yeah. I like that you guys are standing strong against or not standing strong against, but standing strong with the offenders. It's funny you said put a little bit more context on offender, right? So let's talk about the marijuana laws, right? So now you can go on any corner in the city and there's multiple dispensaries. Now all of a sudden you can leave that dispensary with, a bag full of product. And somebody else was charged for that years ago and served time and now has a record for that. Do you believe that that is a fair thing, that now because marijuana is decriminalized, that people can sell it on the corner, yet the same person who was doing that 5 years ago before a law was there and it was decriminalized now has this stigma on their record, this stain that has them as an offender? They may have been incarcerated, they may have done time. What do you guys think that that's a fair law or a fair position that we're in right now? Ghislaine, let's go to you.
What do you mean by fair position?
So position in terms of years ago, selling marijuana was illegal, right?
Okay.
Now it's decriminalized. So now you can buy it on any corner in the city right now. There's so many dispensaries. But there's somebody else who is holding this badge of offender or ex-offender because they committed the same thing. They sold marijuana before the law came in that it was decriminalized. What are your takes on that?
I think for the guy who got actually who has the criminal record because of selling marijuana, that's not fair, right? That's not fair for them like back in the days. I know in Canada, I think you can actually apply for pardon in some instances, but it wouldn't prevent me to hire them. It wouldn't prevent me to hire them. Yeah, I would say that it wouldn't prevent me to hire them. And as Joe said it, actually, you don't know their background. We don't know their background. Maybe they were trying to make ends meet. They were trying to feed their families and stuff like that. So to your point, I think one of the things we need to work on a lot is maybe bring to our MPs, like our member of parliament, and try to push it like that. Those people do not have to apply for a pardon, but their actually criminal records get, I would say, wiped out if they're just selling marijuana, because now it's not even dispensaries, it's the province is selling marijuana right now, right? You have LCBO, they create another kind of like branch that is selling marijuana. So I would say like it's more like bring to the MPs, they bring forward a bill to have those record expunged.
Okay. What about you, Andre? What do you think about that? Do you think it's fair that people are carrying around the stigma as ex-offender because they did something in the past that is now decriminalized?
Well, to be honest, for me, that's a natural law from before. So from them to before, they shouldn't have been even locked up for selling weed. But because a man-made law now it's legalized, I think they should expunge all of those people who have files from before and recompensate them, you know what I mean? Because the last time, maybe they were trying to provide for their family. And so, to be honest with you, it should be expunged. It shouldn't be, it's a no-brainer, to be honest with you, you know what I mean? No-brainer.
Joe, swing it to you.
The devil's lettuce, eh?
The devil is Prada.
Yeah. To be honest, I like 100%. Those records need to be expunged. I don't think we can, go back and give them any restitution because there's too many people. That's the problem. I think the deeper issue that no one talks about is why were these made laws in the first place? You know, they're to track people and criminalize them for doing these things. Like, this is a plant that grew out of the ground and is used as medicine that is saving people's lives. Like, let's get our, you know, our stuff together. Like, let's clear these records and like, let's move on and let's dive in. Like, now they're moving on to magic mushrooms, you know, like, I don't think drugs at all should be criminalized. You know, if you have a crackhead and they find them with crack and giving them a criminal record, and then they have to go, like, who's paying for the court? You know what I mean? You're putting them in a system that's not helping them get better. Like take them and put them in treatment and get them better and walk them through the process of healing and dealing with the real problems that they're dealing with. Where, you know, stop making people, you know, criminals for stuff that's not that isn't fair. It really isn't fair.
You know, that's touched upon a lot in a lot of conversations where the correctional centers don't necessarily rehabilitate you. They don't correct you while you're in these institutions. And then you come out and the root issue to your problem has never been solved, has never been addressed, has never been targeted. So you went in, you may have gone in sick, and you come out probably even more sick. Right?
Yeah, and then you have conditions put on you that are very hard to meet, and then they bust you on the condition. I know in the States this is a bigger problem when they privatize the criminal justice system. You know, so you're putting people in jail for profit. Where it's like, hey, this guy's got this, I'm going to put him in. We just made $100,000. You know, like, that's where the problem is. You can't privatize these institutions and then make people suffer so you can make money for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a twisted game that they're playing with us to trap people in the system, and then it's very hard to get out. You know, you're 18 or 19-year-old kid and you're going to a party and you have drugs on you, and then at 19 years old you have a record that stays with you for the rest of your life, and you can't get a proper job, and, you know, like all these things that tie in, and the kids don't realize these days. You know, just some, you know, when I think of myself at 19, I was an idiot. You know, still am a little bit, but you know, but if you judge me on all the things I did when I was 19 to 30, I'm a whole different person now at almost 40 years old. And people shouldn't be held accountable for those things decades later. You know, I mean, certain things, yes, but like, not the, like, you know, smoked a joint. Oh no. You know, like Bill Clinton, I smoked a joint, but I didn't inhale. Like, the guy was in college when they did it, and they're bringing this stuff up years later.
So how important are the circumstances to why somebody offends to you guys?
Like, the intent behind everything you do is the important, you know. It's like, if I walk into you, Ren, and I bump you, see you later, Ren, nice, thanks for coming out.
You just bumped him.
Well, Andre, I knocked him over. You know, if I bump into you, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And we're just walking down the street, the way I react to you and apologize or don't apologize is going to take a different reaction from you. It's the intent behind it. You know, did I mean to put my shoulder into you, or did I just bump you and say sorry? You know what I mean? Like, it's just little things like that. I really think it's the intent behind it.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Andre? Circumstances of why people offend. How important is that?
Well, you say very important, because at the end of the day, what initiated to do that action, and as Joe was saying, not Joe Biden now, as Joe was saying, it's all about the intent behind something or why you do it. Some people probably, you ever hear the saying, you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe someone is just trying for the first time and just get busted trying it. So to be honest, it all depends on your intentions, to be honest with you, you know.
You know, I've never believed in that saying the wrong place at the wrong time. I think you're at the exact right place at the exact right time for that circumstance or for that thing to happen. You know, that's just my opinion. I want you to hear my view on that. You know, I don't believe that things in life happen for accident. I think that just in the cosmos, like, things are put in certain places. You know, you've seen so many videos where somebody moved over half a step and then a car came and the car missed them by this much. And had they not moved, or had they not slipped, or had there not been that thing on the sidewalk, they wouldn't have moved. And because they moved that way, so I just believe it's right place, right time. But anyhow, that's a story for another day.
What if you went the inch left and got hit by the car? That's not the right place.
I think so too.
All right.
I think so too, because you know, I also think that you know, even death, right? I think death is it's a sensitive topic, but I think death happens for a particular reason. And
no, death is a part of life. Look at this is just a part of life. I mean, if my hand, you know what I mean?
So
Nothing
that's
to
what
be
I'm saying.
scared
That's
of.
why it happens for a particular reason, because it's a part of life. The moment we
Yeah,
were born, we're one day closer to our death, right? Like we born and
yeah,
we die. Everyone's gonna die, right? So
yeah.
it might be tragic, it might be heart wrenching,
Accident,
it
accident,
might be accidental,
what never meant to be.
But I think that there's a reason behind that. I think there's something that's supposed to be brought out of that. That's just
Mhm.
my opinion.
True,
But
true.
anyways,
I respect it.
but back to the
But
topic.
no,
Again.
no, no, no. You know what? Me, I will leave it before rent. One tell my mom to say your grandmother always say, "Who can't hear will feel." That's no never meant to be, because you keep telling your son, "Don't touch the pot, it is hot. Don't touch the pot, it is hot." But just out of curiosity, you want to touch the pot, and when you touch it, you realize. So at the end of the day, that never meant to be. It's just because in disobedient. That's why that happened to him.
See, again, I want to beg to differ, and I want you to hear my view on this, just only because we're having honest conversation. I think the fact that because grandma kept saying, if you touch the pot, you're going to burn. If you touch the
Yeah,
pot, if you don't hear, you will feel. And then, he's just like, will I really? Let me test it out. And then it happens. But it
you're right.
was the enticement. It was the constant, like, just banging and trying to drill that thing home. That's my view. All right. So, in terms of people and having the circumstances that have people offend, right? Is there too much blame that an offender can put on their circumstances? Because again, you might have some people in low-income neighborhoods, and you'll have one person who constantly reoffends, another person never offends, one person may offend once and never reoffends ever again. So, can your environment or the circumstances that you're around be used as an excuse to offend and reoffend? When does the responsibility come on the person itself?
I think it depends on your definition of excuse. You know what I mean? Because like when you're young, and I grew up in a low income neighborhood, and most of the people around me were looking after me to take care of me. But there's people that get caught up in things, and you're young and you don't know any better. So like you just don't know. This is the way we go make money. You don't have entrepreneurs showing you to start a business. Luckily for me, I had sports that pulled me away from there, that allowed me to excel and go on to better things in my life. But there's some people I know that are in jail now, or dead,
Right.
or all these things that happen. And I think of it as it's the nature of your nurture. A lot of people think like it's nature versus nurture, but I think it's how you were nurtured growing up. This is the nature of that. If you were beat up as a child by an abusive father your whole life growing up, it's hard for you to get out of that and break that mold and be a better father. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's hard for you. It's harder than just someone who grew up with two parents in the household with food on the table all the time. People take that for granted, having 3 meals a day cooked for you by your parents. That like those little things that people don't get, that pull them away from an easier lifetime, or guiding them down the right path.
So let's go. I like that point in terms of like the community, people looking out for you. So Ghislaine, I want to bring this to you. What about people who are in totally different circumstances? So we just spoke about low income. What about people in high income brackets, and then they get involved in, I don't know, whatever offense it might be, and then now because they have certain resources, they're able to escape the judicial system, and then they never get caught for that crime. Is somebody who doesn't get caught for an offense but still committed the offense, I don't want to say worse, but is how do you view that? Somebody who committed offense but was never held responsible, or never was given this stigma. What do you think about that aspect?
Frustrating. I'll say like it used to frustrate me a lot, because it's they're slippery, right? So the laws are not made to actually to bring them to justice, stuff like that. But at the same time, we always say, I would like to say karma is a bitch. And they may not get caught within the justice, right? But I always believe in whatever you do in your life, you're gonna actually reap that later on. You may reap it like when you are actually old, or it may actually get transferred to your, sorry to say this, but to your children, right? So that's like I call it like poetic justice, right? It's not the same justice that I would love to see, having seen them like behind the bars, but I'm pretty sure, like I always know that whatever they did is gonna come back later on to haunt them. So does it answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my questions for sure. Joe, let me take it to you real quickly as well. So, what are your takes on people who commit an offense but don't necessarily get caught for it, or don't serve time for it, or don't get labeled as an offender for it?
What's the offense?
Let's say terrorism.
Oh, no, catch them. Catch them. Okay. You went right to the top, eh?
That's what I do.
Yeah, after you like shoplifting.
Yeah, no.
But they've been let go, man. They were charged for terrorism, and they had a certain amount of finances or whatever. They're able to hire a great lawyer. The lawyer found a loophole, and this person's out on the road walking. Is that all right? They went through the justice system. The justice system said they're not guilty.
No, that's unfair. Obviously, that's unfair. But I think of, like, a 13-year-old kid who stole, something, clothing or something like that, because he doesn't have it at home because he can't afford it, and he gets away with it. High five, kid. let him live his life.
Yeah.
Now, like Ghislaine said, karma is going to come back to you. And I'm using this from my own experience. I've stolen bikes as a kid. Do you know what I mean? And someone lost their bike, and I got to enjoy it for however long. And then
one second, Joe. I just want to check the statute of limitations on the charge. I think you're good. Carry on. No one's going to come to your house for the bike.
At the end of the story, I returned the bike. No, and then as I got older, my bike got stolen, and I was mad. I was like, "Hey, jerk, you did it too. Maybe this kid needed a bike to get home." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, it does come full circle. And I lost my point here. Yeah, like, and I also think there's a big difference too. There's a big difference from, like, stealing from a Walmart and stealing from, like, a mom and pop shop who, like, it's their own business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate corporations. I shop at Costco. I shop at Walmart. Do you know what I mean? But I think there's a big difference between Walmart losing a T-shirt and then, like, a store downtown Ottawa that's, like, run by, like, a couple. You know what I mean? Like, losing that shirt, that's a high profit for them.
Right.
And I don't steal anymore, for the record.
I'm glad that you have been rehabilitated.
I have. Will you hire me?
I definitely will, and I'm going to attribute that once again to your wife. She has given you a different perspective on life. She gave you children, and now you're more mature. We thank you for that. I really hope she's watching.
She is.
All right, so Andre, let me come over to you. What about corporate offenders? What about people who, like, smuggle money from insurance funds? Take people for a run, promise them that they're going to give them a large return on something, and it's total lie. Or those people who will call up senior citizens and then credit card scam them. What do you think about those type of offenses?
To be honest, man, they should get the maximum of the punishment, what do you call it, the maximum time possible for them, because it's like what Joe's saying, robbing a corporation versus robbing the regular 9-to-5 or someone who's trying to make ends meet, because you scamming a grandma. Oh my God, that's so unfair. But also at the same time, you have those people, like some grandmas, when they tell them don't tell anyone about it, you sometimes don't feel it that much for them, because they're too were in on something that wasn't, or you put it, regulated or truth about it. I remember seeing a situation where a lady, she was told repeatedly, "Oh, don't tell anyone about it," and she kept going to the bank, and doing it. So at the end of the day, she herself admitted that, yeah, she know at some point she realized it was too good to be true. But instead of going to the authority or ask someone in her family, she keep hiding it in being optimistic, thinking, yeah, maybe I'll get my return. So sometimes people deserve it when they actually play along, right? But when people doing it every day, ripping off people, whether it's a mortgage or the insurance, like I think the insurance is the biggest scam ever too, where you pay repeatedly, but if you get into an accident, it raises your premium. Like, why? You know what I mean? That's why I pay my insurance, for you guys to help me out when the day come. So I think that in itself also is a scam. So they should get the full, as I said, the full sentence or whatever it is for that.
You know, so it's very
Yes.
interesting that each and every one of you would hire an ex-offender, but it seems that you're very specific on the offenses that somebody has to commit for you to be able to hire them.
Yeah.
So is that not the same thing that other people are doing right now when they don't want to hire an ex-offender? Are they not
No.
using their same biases and their same stigmas and their criteria to not hire somebody because for them it's morally wrong to steal when you're 13 or to sell drugs, or like is it not the same criteria that you guys are using versus what other people are using to deny?
No, but remember, you said they were offender, but we're having faith that the rehabilitation system would work for them. So those people who are committing the fraud, no, we're assuming that, okay, then it's a system that's have in place rehabilitation programs that they put in place to say, you know what, we're gonna put back this guy whenever he comes here or go back out, he's gonna be a better person. So for that tax fraud person or the scammer, we're hoping that they will be better for the first time, and then we say, okay, they can come back into society. But where it is repeated now, that's when they know that, okay, then this person have no better. So
are you hiring the guy that robbed your grandma? Are you going to hire the guy that robbed your grandma?
Again, yeah, it depends. Also, it depends because maybe you, as I said, maybe yeah, you know why?
100%?
Yeah, you know why?
100%.
Hold on. Maybe he just shot. Who knows? For example, he probably went to the shop and he shot $10, for example. But he probably didn't even have the courage to ask for the $10. Say, try and rob my grandmother for that $10. So at the end of the day, he was just trying to make ends meet. So it depends on the situation. But if he's a repeated offender, no, constantly robbing grandma for no reason, where he's trying to, like, for example, trying to rob a phone.
Yeah.
Then you can look at it like, bro, you could have worked and tried to get that phone. We can talk about that situation. So again,
the first time he was short $10. The next time he reoffended, it was because he needed to get Pampers for his youth. And then the next time he offended was because he wanted to get some rims for his car. And then the next time he offended, so there's always a reason for this person offending. You're still all right with hiring that person?
But did he never get caught none of the times?
No, he got caught.
Oh, so that means the rehabilitation system is not working.
So as long as you
look at it then.
So as long as he's rehabilitated, you're good to hire him?
Yeah, because he's gonna come out a better person,
I think, like Joe earlier said, it's about the integrity of the person. If the person keeps doing the same mistakes, actually the same offenses, you can see that this person is not willing to change. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't take that risk and hire them. At the same time, the other reason I would say, like, I would actually hire an ex-offender. We have to think about, like, once you hire that person, that means you give them an income. That means they get taxed on that income. The taxes goes to the government. We, like, the society actually gets better. So there is a financial component that we keep forgetting about it, and that is the irony. I would say when people say, "Oh, I wouldn't hire an ex-offender," because I'm like, this person is actually bringing taxes. Like, this is their first income. Later on, maybe they will buy a house. There's a tax on the property they'll pay, right? So this is the second chance you are giving to them, and it's actually bringing rewards to the community as well.
I like that.
And I think, like, we have to keep some people, when you're dealing with people who say, I wouldn't hire an ex-offender, I would say we have to bring that financial component as well.
Okay, so you guys spoke about a couple of things in terms of trust and integrity And I like that. And I think that the only way that you can see someone's integrity or you can trust someone is to have a relationship with them. So how would you build a relationship with an ex-offender? Or is it different than any other person? Joel, I'll throw it to you.
I just had some funny jokes in my head that aren't good for live TV.
Feel free to say them.
Yes.
You in the chat.
No,
You're open. Your opinion is important. I want you to express
my
yourself.
opinion's important, but my rude jokes aren't. I think it's the same way you build a relationship with anyone. Just conversation, trust, spending time with them. It's no different. Ex-con or not ex-con, you're still going to build a relationship the same way. And like realistically, like you're going to be with them a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like if they're working with you, you're with them more than your family, pretty much. They're with you from 9 to 5, or if you're in a trade, probably 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So there's a lot of time spent with them, and you're going to I'm a very good judge of character. Growing up where I did and the things that brought me through my life, I can chat with someone for 5-10 minutes and pick them apart and understand if they're if their motives are good towards me. And I think by spending time with people and giving them the chance to open up and learning about their situation and why they did certain things, that you can learn a lot about them and really get to know the real them. Because a lot of times, like we're like onions, you know what I mean? Like even us, Andre, we've known each other for about 3 months now, but when we get on these calls, half an hour before they start, it's more of a deeper conversation. You're talking about your wife, we're talking about my children. At first it was like, hi. It just takes time for us to get to know people. We've got to peel those layers of the onion away and get to know people in a deeper meaning or deeper sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, I just want to, I'm not saying it from me, as it was a great point, but so we had Rochelle and Denier in the chat, and they were saying that you were making a great point. So continue the great work, Joe. Bringing on perspective points like that in the future, you will always have a place here on Join the Chat.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, don't thank me. Thank Rochelle and Denier.
Oh, I didn't say I thank you. I thank them. Don't try to steal their credit.
I love it. All right. I'm going to switch on the topics real quickly. I'm not sure if anybody else wanted to touch on what I was asking Joe in terms of how do you build relationships with an ex-offender? Is it any different than you build it with anybody else?
No. I mean, he's right. Like, the first time you meet a person, is, you talk to them, and then that's how the trust is built. You don't look at a person and say, oh, I'm going to trust them if you haven't talked to them, if you haven't built something, right? So I think the more you talk to the person, the more you spend time with them, in those 8-hour shift, you get to know them better, right? They get to open up. You get to open up as well. So that's how you build trust. And I think like when you hire them, there's a contract there, right? Usually they give you like some companies, they give you 90 days. How's it called? 90 days.
Probation.
Yes, kind of like a trial. And then if you make it, it's those 90 days. They're able to gauge work. Can they trust that person? So yeah, there is like that contract that is already there. And then the more you work with the person, you build a trust.
So I'm a person, I'm not big on titles, right? I see Joe here, I see Ghislaine, I see Andre. Whatever you do in your day job, you could be, a sanitation worker, you could be a CEO, but you yourself are not CEO. You're Andre, you're Ghislaine. There's a character, there's morals, there's other characteristics of you that are not your job, right? So it always bothers me when I hear people talk about, oh, that criminal or that offender or that accused. No, his name is Ren, right? Ren happened to do something that got him caught up, and he had to pay that price. But don't call him offender. Don't call him criminal. Don't call him. Like they're a person. So I think a lot of times as a society we want to just label people so much. And in the absence of knowing them deeply, we just throw whatever title we want to throw at them. And I think as a society, we should do better. We should get to know people better. I know we're living in a time where it's very individualistic. and we don't necessarily have the time or take the time to dig deep and have conversations with people, have deep conversation, not surface level, but real conversation. When you see somebody in the hallway and you say, "Hi, how are you?" Like, wait to see what their response is. And if they say, "I'm not doing well," maybe you should stop and be like, "Hey, well, what's going on?" Like, spend that time, get to know each other, and let's help each other through this thing that we have called life. I want to kind of segue into, as we're talking about employment, we're talking about hiring, not hiring. So trade work versus blue collared work.
White
Do you
collar.
have any perspective? Trade work like
White collar.
electrician. Sorry, what did you say, Joe?
It's white collar, blue collar, white collar.
White, yeah.
Blue collar, white collar, blue
Yeah.
collar,
Trades is blue collar.
Blue collar, yeah.
blue collar.
Yeah.
Is it? What did I say? Did I say white collar?
Trade is for
Trades versus blue collar.
What did I say?
Trades versus blue collar.
blue.
Well, you guys know what I meant because you got the memo earlier in the week on what the topics we're going to be on. I don't
It's
know
for,
why
it's for our beautiful guests. Maybe they're getting confused.
I don't know why you're trying to make me look bad on YouTube. Join us on Join the Chat One on our YouTube channel. Join us on Instagram. Join the Chat One. Trades versus white collar. I apologize. Way to make me look bad on this afternoon. But you know what?
Listen, we're all looking out for each other. One team, one dream.
I have a relationship with all of you guys, so I don't take offense to it. All right, so white collar versus trades. Do you have any opinion on that? Ghislaine, touch it. In terms of employment and whatever facet or aspect you want to speak about.
So, I'll talk. Okay, I think like trades. From where I'm coming from, I'm African, right? And in Africa, trades, works, jobs, they're not really well regarded. They're not well seen. It's like most of the parents, when they have children, they want them to become white, to have those white collar jobs, in a sense of like becoming like a doctor, an accountant. But when it comes to the blue collar trade jobs, they don't put focus on it, and you can see it in our diaspora when we come to Canada or in the Western world. But I think when you have those trades are really needed. They are really needed because you can't have everybody cannot become doctors. You don't have the same. I wouldn't say the same knowledge, but we don't have the same motivation, the same things we like. So, and I think being like those trades jobs, they should be actually put forward. And I'm talking about my African people. So I don't know if it's the same with Jamaican, but and I think it's something that we need to instill more.
Why
put more respect on it.
Why do you think that the trades are not well regarded in the Africas?
Because they're not well paid over there. They're not well They're not well paid, and it's it's all about and it's also like I think it's already embedded in our society in the sense of when you see someone who's a doctor, who's an accountant, he has more respect within the society than meeting someone who's a plumber, right? Or who's an electrician.
Okay, so I want you to touch on that then. So why do they have more respect, and should they have more respect?
It has to do with, I would say, a little bit with colonization, right? The more you study, the more you look, the more you study, the more you go to university, for example. You sound, it's for us, it's like it's the more education that you have, the more savant you are, the more smart you are. But when you're doing trades work, it's first of all, it looks like you didn't finish your school, but you didn't go further. So you're not really that smart, right? So that's within our society, like the African society, I should say.
What about your take on this, Andre? The lack of respect for trade workers, is that something that you have experienced in your culture? Do you think that is proper?
To tie in what Jason was saying, I think it's true to an extent. Same way in Jamaica, where people look down on the tradesman versus the white collar personnel. many factors to come into play. Maybe classism is one, where we're from, in the sense that, okay, you're a doctor, you expect to live on the hill, whereas you're a tradesman, you expect to live on the flat. And also in the classism it creates, also again, it shows like educational level where, okay, then for this person to be a trade person, you didn't complete high school, you didn't go to tertiary education. That's another classism. Another classism coming to income. Okay, you're a doctor, you expect to make millions, but for a trade man, you expect to make thousands of dollars, right? And another thing is, again, the long process to say, okay, then that person spent 7 years in school, that person, you understand what I mean? So it has, for us in the Caribbean and Africa, I would say classism, because racism is not really a major problem where we're from, it's more class, which in Canada, for example, are a more developed country. You will say, okay, it's a race thing where white people become doctor, black people are non-whites become trade people. So it's different. But for me to say, for example, when I went to the States, my father sent me to the States for a summer job to do plumbing. In my head, I'm thinking, why? Because in Jamaica, everybody's a plumber. You can do it yourself. So that's the next thing too. For a doctor, you can look at it, well, you have to study to become a doctor. For a trade, you can show, the average man can show you something what to do it. But the advantage I see over here now is actually the income level. Yeah, you may not complete tertiary schooling, but you actually can see the benefit of your work here in the developed world, so to speak. Whereas, so for me now, an advantage, if you're looking at the trade versus a white collar now, I can say it's best to go into the trade, because for a doctor, that doctors may have the image and we have the perception that this person is well off, but it costs a lot of money to study. Whereas with the trade, you don't require a lot of schooling, and while you're learning, you're also being paid. So you can be learning the trade and you're getting income right away from that. Whereas the doctor is studying in university, not being paid. Doing his apprenticeship, not being paid, because you're learning the trade until you become. So if it's like sometimes they trick us in the sense of the Caribbean, because if you realize, yeah, you may not complete tertiary education, but what were you doing this time? You were learning a skill, you were learning a trade. But because we can't see entrepreneurship come out of that trade in the Caribbean, where everyone in the community say, or in a region say, okay, then I'm doing a trade, I'm being an electrician, I can work for myself one day. We have it where, okay, we're a plumber, we're gonna work for a construction company. So you have where the person who is a supervisor on that side is making more than the actual person who's carrying out the work. Again, that classism create where instead I want to be the tradesman, I want to be the contractor. But again, it's like a gold mine, but we don't realize. Like for example, where Africa, for example, have all the minerals needed, the Western world need to survive, but the people don't know to utilize the wealth, whereas someone else come and use it. So it's the same with a trade. You have a gold mine because you can become independent, where you're working for yourself. So working for yourself, no, that's true independent. You choose the hours you want to work, and you can retire early. Whereas the doctor person may work the first 10 years is to pay back bills. But again, we don't see that because someone don't discuss it with us to explain to them in the Caribbean or in the African region to say, you know what, you going to learn a trade, you can start out from 15. Within 5 years, you get your license, complete your apprenticeship. By 25, you can have your own company. So it boils down to information and how the system works. For example, who was the one to tell us that white collars are the best way to go? Society tell us that, you know what I mean? But at the same time now, what if they have in place, okay, then we're gonna push projects to say, okay, who build all the building around, the infrastructure, the road, the buildings, tradesmen. You understand what I mean? No doctor didn't build any of these. Yes, the doctor is here for the well-being of the society. If you're sick, you can go and seek help. But there's so much potential from the trade. It can be more diverse. You don't have to be a plumber to say, okay, I'm gonna make the rest of my life a plumber. You can become an investor. You understand what I mean? So it can create a lot of different avenues, different opportunities by doing the trade versus where the white collar person now is making a salary or is on a wage, is a yearly wage. For a trade man, you don't even know what you can make this year. You can wake up today, you make $20. You can wake up tomorrow, you make 30. So you never know. So that's a fun part. Myself is a trade person. and I was privileged to go to university also, and I didn't like it there. It's good to have it to go somewhere, but it's just I just felt out of place. I felt it's a bit program in the sense that you're taught the same thing. The next set of student come behind you taught the same thing. Whereas with a plumber, for example, or electrician, you don't buck up on the same thing every day. Codes change over time and stuff like that. So I think the trade is more for self development more. The trade is better than the white collar criminal.
You touched on something very, very key, and it was the image. It was the perception of white collar workers having this prestige over trade workers. I want to throw it over to Joe. Before I do that, Andre, you had some comments in the chat. So Rochelle and Denier are bigging you up, saying that you're speaking straight facts. Listen, they have matching T-shirts, so I just want to know what they're actually doing in their lives. So I'm not sure if you know those people, but Rochelle, Denier, let us know what you're doing. I want to know what those matching DR shirts are.
Don't know them.
You know,
yeah, thank you, R and D here, DNR, doctor.
DNR, yeah.
Omar, bless up yourself, brother.
I want to know what it's about. You know, join the chat. Let us know what you're doing. So, Joe, I want to bring it to you. So that perception of white collar being more prestigious than trades, when we know that everyone needs trades, everyone needs a plumber, everyone needs somebody to build their house, everyone needs somebody to string up the electricity in their house, everyone needs somebody to pave the roadway, right? So they're needed, they're essential in this society. So talk about the prestige or the perception of the prestige of white collar workers over trade workers. Is it valid?
Yeah, I think, who wants to get up and get dirty every day when you can go sit in an office, like that kind of mentality. For me, like I worked trades my whole life growing up, and then I moved to kind of like went to school, university, college, and then moved into like a white collar job. Like I'm a little bitch, so I wanted to have the white collar job. You know what I mean? I don't want to get up at 7 a.m. anymore and go work hard like that. But that's just because I'm getting older in my body. I think they're extremely important. And like I'm kind of veering away from your question right now because I don't want to get into what society thinks is better because I truly believe both are needed. But I think the biggest issue is that you need to follow what you love to do. And it doesn't matter which path it takes you, as long as you're happy and you're pursuing what you love to do, something's going to come out of that, whether it turns into a blue collar job or a white collar job. Now, if you ask me what I think someone should do, I think everyone should learn a trade so you have something to fall back on if this doesn't work. Like to be a plumber, to know how to fix your own pipes is amazing. To be an electrician, to run all the wires through your own house is an amazing thing. Frying down the whole apartment. And I think that too many of us get caught in, keeping up with the Joneses. I need a new car. I need a new house. I need this. I need that. I need that. I need to get my nails done, my hair did. I need to have the best shoes. But if you take away some of those things, where you're trying to make more money to buy these things, you can have a really good life making a lot less money and doing things that make you happy. The problem is we're too busy worrying about what other people think about us instead of just being happy. Like when I leave this show, I go back to my family that I love, and I don't care what anyone thinks about me off this. Obviously, I want everyone to like me and love me. We all want that. But if one person doesn't like me, I'm sorry. Have a nice day.
So Joe, again, you said both blue collar and white collar jobs are important.
Very.
You're saying that everyone should have a trade so they can fall back on it. Why can't a trade be the primary?
No, I'm saying if it's not your primary, if you want to go to be in white collar work, that's fine too. But I think like learning to work with your hands and having that physical skill is very important. I think that because you can always find work. Do you know what I mean? I think that like learning to do stuff. People who, the father creates the hammer and then the kid perfects how to use the hammer. Kind of that type of mentality where you pass that knowledge down to your children. I think is very important. Like, I'm not very handy. Even though I worked in trades, I was a laborer my whole time. I'm not very handy. If you said, like my blind right here is crooked because I can't fix it properly. I wish I could turn around the computer and show you. I have a buddy that I call in that helps me. So like. But I think like learning how to work with your hands, how to, build stuff. And now like anytime there's something wrong in the house, I go out of my way to fix it with my children. And now they have the mentality of, I can fix anything. Do you know what I mean? And it's not about them actually being able to do it, but it's about being in their mind, knowing that they can find the path to get it done and finish the project that needs to be done.
Sherelle Archer is throwing up 100% science. Two of them. That's
Thank you. 200, just 200.
Keep up the good.
But that's to touch on a quick point that Joe said. That was one of the key I forgot too. To be honest with you, with the trade, you can start your own thing and then your kids can come and inherit it naturally. Meaning, again, there's no requirement to go to school versus like say you're a doctor. You can teach your kid the practices and stuff like that. Maybe they'll work on mannequin or whatever it is. But that kid can go out in the world and really practice that trade. Whereas if you know it and you pass it on to your daughter or your son, they actually can go out there and actually do the work and people feel happy with that job. So it's from a legacy standpoint, the trade is easier to create a legacy where your children can come and benefit from that legacy by opening that company and stuff like that. So that was a key one too. Thank you very much, man. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm just saying, if you forgot about it and Joe said it, I don't think you need to re-say it. But I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to push trades. I said, if you forgot to say it, and Joe said it, then you didn't need to come back and say it again because it was already said. But I get what you're trying to do. Yeah, man, big up.
Push. No, man, I love the white. No, yeah, as I said, Joe said it before too. As I said, the doctor and stuff is needed, the bank accountant is needed and stuff like that. But it's just, I just think that they should put the glorification on both of them to show that at the end of the day, they all work hand in hand. Especially as I said, from in Jamaica or the Caribbean and for the African region, because as I said, that's a place where people look down on it and little they know the potential that can come out of it, man. It's crazy, or they look down on it. It's like, as I said, they have the natural minerals and they don't know that's wealth, but yet so someone else can come there and utilize all that resources that's there and create wealth, So the government should do more programs, I think, to kind of promote trades and skilled workers.
Yeah, and I think it's the mindset. A lot of people hate their job, and it's because of the mindset. It's the mindset of like let's say we think trades is for lower income. People with lower income go to that and they're like, oh, I'm not good enough to move to something else when they don't try it. And then people with higher income, like, oh, you need to be a doctor, and they force their kid to med school and they hate that route too. Do you know what I mean? So you really have to build a mindset of doing what's best for you, not your parents, not your spouse. You have to take care of number one, which is you, and then you can filter down that positive lifestyle to everyone else in your circle.
Yeah.
Ghislaine, how important are trades in your world or in your life, or how important do you believe they are?
They are very important. They are all trades, white collar jobs. They're all important. So you know what? We have roads thanks to trades. We have houses thanks to trades. They are very important. I think one of the points Joe said, it's not just do what you love, but look at what you are really good at before you maybe go to school or you go to university or college. I always use an example of my little brother. When he came here, he wanted to go to university and study human resources. And I asked him point blank, I was like, why? Because I know him. He's not someone who can sit down and focus and study. He is more like hands-on, that's what he loves to do. And he told me always, because once I finish, I'm kind of guaranteed to have a job, right? But I told him straight, I'm like, you know what? That's not for you, right? And he didn't believe me in the sense of he still went to school, to high school, to university. Within a semester, he dropped out. And he was like, you know what? You're right. This is not meant for me. He went on to do other trades, and he loves it. He loves it, right? So I think we need to, when we have either little brothers or people who are trying to change They're trying, they want to go either in trades or something else, and the society is telling them not to do it. You need to push them and say, hey, go for it if you know that you have the abilities and you love it.
And I would say, just to touch on your point, to teach our young sisters that as well, because
Yeah.
we don't want anyone to be stigmatized that they're
Mhm.
only capable of doing one particular role or one particular job.
That's right.
Gentlemen, this is the first time we did an all men's show. This was fantastic. I missed the fabulosity, I can't lie, but
Same here.
I liked hanging out with my brothers tonight. It felt good. I felt empowered. I was able to raise my testosterone levels. I didn't feel that I was offending anybody. This was great. I thank you guys. I thank you guys. I thank you guys. Any last points that you guys want to touch upon? It could be anything that we spoke about today or anything else that's just pressing on your mind right now. Andre, I'll swing it to you first.
Oh yeah, first and foremost, we're living in a COVID time. So guess what? Tradesman never stop work during COVID time. Guess what? We're not bound to our house. Guess what? We get to go outside and enjoy outside, even when the government's outside now keep. So Tradesman is the advantage point to go. So all of the youths watching, whether a girl or a boy, you don't have to be get your hand dirty. You can go be an electrician, you can be a escalator worker, work with elevators and be safe. You can be an engineer, which is considered also a trade. So trade all the way, man. Thank everybody for watching, all of the viewers. Thanks for sharing your comments. We appreciate it. Tune in next time. Make sure you subscribe, like, and trust me, you have to tune in next time to watch Kimmy. She's the bomb. Trust me, she's the bomb. So yeah, good night, everybody.
Joe, final words?
I don't know how you follow that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. We're really trying to grow this as big as we possibly can. And we appreciate all the comments and support. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Ghislaine, touch it.
Guys, love the comments. We saw some comments, loved it. And one of the things that I would say is during this pandemic, try to learn new skills. It can be trades, it can be something else, maybe coding, right? Try to learn something else. And I hope while you were watching us, you were drinking some wine as well, and come back again, bring your friends, bring your families, so we can, they can watch and, they can comment as well. Loved it, guys.
I am Renford, Mr. Bojangles. I am your moderator for the evening. I just want to thank everyone for joining the chat. This is the place where every single voice matters, where your opinions are important. It's a free and open space for you to speak and also to be heard, and we are empowering you to express yourself. Join us on our YouTube channel at Join the Chat 1. Join us on Instagram at Join the Chat 1. Like, subscribe, share. We are doing this at a new time tonight. The new time kind of felt good. I can't lie. I felt a little more free, and I was able to go, an extended time too. So I'm liking the new time. So this is Join the Chat. Until next time, be safe, love on somebody, and get to know somebody deeply. Like, have conversation with them. One love.
Thank you.
Salute.
Okay.